Astral Projection. This is a ritual where individuals aim to separate their consciousness from their physical body and explore the astral plane, an unseen spiritual dimension. Imagine it as a form of out-of-body travel where your spirit or mind ventures beyond the material world, seeking knowledge or interaction with spirits. In ancient times, this practice was a double-edged sword. Some thought it was a gateway to profound enlightenment, while others believed it was like leaving your front door open for all kinds of dark entities. Astral projection is considered taboo in many circles because it's seen as poking your head into realms that should remain untouched. It's believed to disturb the natural balance between the physical world and the spiritual one, opening doors to dangers and entities that might be better left alone. You might also struggle to return to your physical body or even be possessed by demons. The potential psychological distress in there could also lead to losing one's sense of self forever. Blood magic. This ritual involves using blood, usually human, sometimes animal, to gain power, heal, or curse others. It's like playing with fire, except the fire is someone's lifeblood. The belief is that blood carries life force, so using it in magic rituals can make your spells extra potent, like upgrading from regular coffee to a triple shot espresso. In some African cultures, blood magic has been used to protect warriors or curse enemies. Even today, some isolated communities still practice these rituals, but using someone else's blood could tie your fate to theirs, and their bad luck might rub off on you. Blood magic is deemed forbidden due to its potential spiritual risks, as it can attract negative energies and malevolent forces. It also violates the sacredness of blood, considered a powerful and holy substance. Necromancy. This is an ancient practice where people try to communicate with the dead to gain knowledge or predict the future. It's like texting your ancestors, but instead of emojis, you're using candles, incantations, and maybe a bone or two. Practitioners hope to uncover hidden secrets, control others, or even live forever. Because really, who wouldn't want to add speaking with the dead to their resume? In the 16th century, the famous occultist John Dee was rumored to have used necromancy to chat with angels and demons, hoping for power and wisdom. Some thought he was a genius, others thought he was playing with fire, literally. And let's not forget, there's a belief that practicing necromancy might leave you haunted by the very spirits you summoned. Necromancy was considered a dangerous and blasphemous act, as it was believed to disturb the natural order of life and death, and often associated with demonic forces. Black Mass. A Black Mass is a ritual that twists and mocks the Christian Mass, turning sacred symbols and prayers into something profane. Think of it as the ultimate rebellious teenager move, but instead of graffiti, they are defiling holy symbols. It's often linked to Satanism, where participants worship the devil instead of God. During a Black Mass, everything is inverted. Crosses are turned upside down, prayers are recited backward, and holy symbols are given the middle finger. The unholy communion is a specific aspect of the Black Mass. It involves the profane mockery of the Christian Eucharist, where the sacred host is desecrated, often in grotesque or obscene ways. In 17th century France, a priest named Abbé Guibourg was accused of performing Black Masses for wealthy clients, which allegedly included sacrificing infants to gain favor with the devil. Some believe participants in Black Masses receive tangible rewards like wealth or power, but at the cost of their souls. Trading your morality for a new car or a mansion sure sounds tempting until you realize that the eternal damnation part isn't just a bad Yelp review. Human sacrifice. Human sacrifice is the act of killing one or more people as an offering to a deity, spirits, or other supernatural forces. Some ancient cultures believe this would please the gods, bring good fortune, or prevent disasters. Think of it as the original Pay It Forward, except with a lot more blood and less Starbucks gift cards. The Aztecs practiced human sacrifice on a massive scale, believing it was necessary to keep the sun rising each day. They'd remove the hearts of their captives and offer them to the gods. But what if after centuries of sacrifice, people realized the gods were just out of office? The idea that countless lives were taken in vain based on a celestial misunderstanding is both tragic and horrifying. Summoning rituals. These are meant to call forth supernatural beings, such as demons, spirits, or ancient gods. People believe these rituals can give them power, knowledge, or control over the summoned entity. Think of it as sending a cosmic Uber request, except the fare might be your soul. During the Middle Ages, tales circulated about occultists who tried to summon demons in exchange for power or wealth. One such story involves Johann Georg Faust, the inspiration for Goethe's Faust, who supposedly made a pact with the devil, but summoning a demon could backfire in horrifying ways, like asking for wealth and finding out it's delivered through the untimely demise of a rich uncle you actually liked. The idea that a demon could twist your wishes to create your worst nightmares adds a chilling layer to the dangers of summoning rituals, like asking for a vacation and getting an all-expenses-paid trip to your in-laws' house. Cannibalistic rituals. These involve eating human flesh, often as part of a religious or magical practice. The belief is that consuming human flesh can give you the strength, knowledge, or spirit of the deceased. It's like taking "you are what you eat" to a whole new terrifying level. The Fore people of Papua New Guinea practiced endo-cannibalism, eating the bodies of their deceased relatives as a sign of respect. Unfortunately, this led to the spread of a fatal disease called kuru, similar to mad cow disease, which caused severe neurological degeneration and death. Consuming human flesh might bind you to the spirit of the deceased in a way that brings madness instead of power. Hearing their voice in your mind, feeling their pain, or being driven insane by their memories could turn this practice into a nightmare, one that might make you wish you'd stuck to a vegetarian diet. Haruspicy. This is an ancient method of predicting the future by examining the entrails of sacrificed animals. This practice was common among the Romans and Etruscans, who believed the gods communicated through patterns found in the organs. It's like trying to read your future on a plate of spaghetti, but with way higher stakes. In ancient Rome, haruspices were consulted before major battles or significant political decisions. Favorable signs in the organs were seen as divine approval, while bad omens could lead to cancelled plans or further sacrifices to appease the gods. Relying on this practice to guide every major decision could lead to disaster, like misreading the entrails and leading your army straight into an ambush. In many cultures, such practices are rejected as superstitious or impious, reinforcing their taboo status. Curse tablets, or Defixiones in Latin, were small lead sheets inscribed with curses, typically buried in graves or nailed to temple walls. It's like leaving a nasty note on someone's locker, but with the hopes of ruining their life instead of just their day. The person creating the curse would write their wish on a thin sheet of lead, often including the target's name and the desired punishment. The tablet was then folded, pierced with nails, and buried in a place thought to be close to the underworld, because of course that's where all the best curse delivery services operate. These curse tablets have been found throughout the Roman Empire, with many targeting athletes, lovers, or business rivals. However, curses could backfire, bringing the misfortune intended for the enemy back to the person who cast it. Suffering the same fate you wished on a rival, crippling illness, financial ruin, or even death, adds a frightening element to the act of casting curses. It's like playing the ultimate game of what goes around comes around. Soul binding. This is a ritual where a person's soul is magically connected to something, an object, another person, or even a supernatural being. People often do this to live forever, control someone else, or gain incredible power. The ritual usually involves using blood, a personal item, or even a piece of the soul itself, like a strand of hair or a piece of clothing. The idea is that the person and the bound entity become linked, their fates intertwined, making them inseparable. In ancient Egypt, some believed that pharaohs would bind their souls to their burial items to ensure their spirit would live on forever. But this has serious risks. Imagine accidentally binding your soul to a cursed object. It could lead to a life full of nightmares, madness, or even prevent you from moving on to the afterlife. And if that object is ever destroyed, your soul might be lost forever. The Skinwalker Ritual. This ritual is part of the Navajo folklore and considered to be one of the darkest forms of taboo witchcraft. The ritual usually starts with someone seeking greater power or revenge. Skinwalkers gain their powers through a deeply disturbing initiation that involves the murder of a close relative, often combined with necrophilia and grave robbing. Once the ritual is complete, they become pure evil and gain abilities like shape-shifting into animals, controlling night creatures, incredible speed, and even reanimating corpses to attack enemies. Myths speak of skinwalkers meeting in secluded caves at night to plan their evil deeds, practice cannibalism, and use corpse poison, a concoction made from human remains to inflict pain and death on their victims. Skinwalkers can only be defeated by using the same dark magic they practice or by receiving a blessing from a medicine man. These witches are not only feared for their lethal magic, but also for their insatiable need to kill, as they sustain their lives by consuming the unexpired life force of their victims. The witches' Sabbath. This refers to wild, nocturnal gatherings of witches, particularly during medieval times, where participants practiced magic, brewed potions, and held secret ceremonies. During the Sabbath, they allegedly performed various demonic rituals, summoning the devil himself. One ritual act was the osculum infame, or the shameful kiss, where witches kissed the devil's butt as a form of worship and submission. Some accounts suggest that the rituals included cannibalism, the desecration of religious symbols, the poisoning of wells, orgies, and rebaptism in the name of the devil. However, there's no real proof for the mystical witches' Sabbath, and accused witches often only confess to such acts due to pressure, despite the implausibility of the claims. These confessions were used to justify further persecution and executions during the witch hunt. Sacred prostitution. This involved engaging in sexual acts as part of religious rituals. In ancient Mesopotamia, certain temples had rituals involving sacred prostitution where priestesses engaged in sexual acts as offerings to deities, believed to ensure fertility and prosperity. In ancient Greece and Cyprus, worshippers of Aphrodite would engage in ritualistic sex orgies as a form of devotion. The wealth created by the sacred prostitutes was of course used to support the temples. This was considered a sacred duty and part of the worship process. However, it was eventually deemed immoral and forbidden by later religious authorities. Self-mummification. This is an alleged extreme Buddhist practice where monks prepare their bodies for eternal preservation while still alive. Instead of a spa retreat, you're fasting, consuming only minimal food and special substances, and eventually sealing yourself in a tomb with a bell to signal you're still alive. When the bell stops ringing, the tomb is sealed, and the monk's preserved body is revered as a spiritual relic. It's like creating your own permanent exhibit, but the process is incredibly grueling and controversial. Due to its self-destructive nature and slow, deliberate path to death, the ritual was eventually prohibited. Osteomancy, or bone divination, is a practice that was used in many cultures like ancient Rome, China, or some indigenous tribes. Practitioners would analyze patterns in human bones to predict the future or gain insights. In some cultures, bones were heated until they cracked, revealing messages from the spirit world. It's like using a skeletal fortune cookie to get answers, but with much graver implications. Bones used in divination were often seen as taboo, as disturbing the dead or using their remains for predictions was considered deeply sacrilegious and risky. Subscribe for more videos and click that like button to support us.